Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Election, the 1999 black comedy that I think is just a masterpiece and a film that should be must-see viewing for film fans, especially those that have kind of the dark sense of humor. I think this movie is just absolutely amazing and hilarious and depressing and just really it runs the gamut as far as emotions. I mean, there's no big action sequences or anything like that, but there are moments that actually I find actually kind of get your adrenaline going with like just like a mild outrage and stuff like that. Like I find this movie to be successful on every level. I think it's just absolutely amazing. Kind of buoyed by the performance given by Reese Witherspoon as Tracy Flick, the character that most people think of when they think of this film. She plays this high school student that is, a real go-getter and has delusions of grandeur, but also has the tenacity to try to go out and make these visions of herself that are grand a reality. And you can definitely tell throughout the film that she seems like somebody who's going to be a success at all costs. A girl that you really would not want to tangle with, but also at times feels a little bit impotent to deal with kids her own age, but that has this kind of this just inner ability to push herself to do practically anything. She's this really fascinating character that you can't help but look away from, but you can't help yourself but to not look away. You can't look away from. I swear I'm going to say it properly. You can't look away from. There you go. She's just really interesting. I also feel like one of the strengths of this movie that people don't necessarily talk about nearly enough is I think Matthew Broderick is just so perfect as this nebbish character that he's this high school student that wants to be everybody's friend, wants to do the right thing, but he also kind of gives into some of his baser desires and kind of gives into his anger and his frustration and does and says things that he really shouldn't have been doing. It really gets himself into an untenable situation, and you really throughout the entire film there's moments where you're like, dude, no, what are you doing? But you also were like, come on, please work out for the guy. You feel so bad for him. The guy is just so outmatched by Tracy Flick, but also has this modicum of authority that he's trying to wield. He's just so great in it because there's few actors I think that could have pulled off a character like him where you at one moment you're like, what a moron, and the other moment you're like, oh, I love that moron. I think it's really impressive. Chris Klein is in this movie, and he plays a character that, sorry to say it, I think he was born to play this kind of lovable idiot, this guy who really is unaware of what's going on around him, seems to think that everybody should just get along, and is very loving, and you feel bad for him throughout where these things happen to him that you wish he didn't have to go through, but at the same time you also have the very real feeling that he's completely, maybe not completely, but largely unaware of how things are really actually working out for him and where his life is going. He's all about the facade of his life, but he's also a really sweet guy, and I think Chris Klein does a great job at playing the role. I don't think Chris Klein's a great actor. I think this role is Chris Klein's to command, and his casting just works to perfection. There's another character that plays another actress. I'm sorry, I'm going to look at her name here because I do not know it. Tammy Meltzer is played by Jessica Campbell, and I think she is very important to this film as well. Does a great job in it, and basically she plays Chris Klein's younger sister, and she's this character that she's kind of the everyday high school student, the person that everybody might look past or not be aware of, except for the few people that she interacts with on a daily basis. And then something happens to her, and she gets kind of this like inner anger, and she decides that she's going to run for the class president, which that's what this whole movie's about. That's why it's called Election. Is you have the three characters, the Tracy, Chris Klein's character, and Tammy, all running for the class presidency. And she's there just to kind of get back at a situation, and she has this kind of inner rage, she's basically the epitome of the rebellious teenager, but also very ineffectual in other parts too, and you really care for her almost more than anybody else in this film, maybe other than Matthew Broderick's character. I think she does a great job in it. And then you have a character, again I'm looking at it because I don't know this actor's name, Mark Herelick. It plays Dave, this old teacher that you find out some pretty awful things about, that took advantage of his authority, and I think the actor who plays him, because the character is so important to the story, but is barely in it, and is so reprehensible, but also there's this the actor who plays him, what he does, what the character does, I hate, but at the same time, the way that the actor plays him is so pitiful that it's almost hard to hate what he's done. And I think that that's very, very important to this film, because it really speaks to the kind of content of this film, that has this these really ambiguous morals, because you have Tracy and you have Matthew Broderick's characters, and they're basically at arms with one another, and both characters in their own way you feel like is in the right, because Tracy had this kind of horrible thing happen to her. The teacher, the Dave guy that I was talking about, he slept with her even though she's a teenager in high school. That's absolutely reprehensible, and she has this kind of this inner tenacity, like I said before. She doesn't even feel angry about what happened, but there is this kind of dynamic, because Matthew Broderick's character was the best friend of the teacher that she slept with, and so that's why he hates her, but she's the victim, so his hate towards her is so unwarranted. It's also based on her personality, of course, because she's very, very abrasive, but she was the victim, and he kind of takes out the fact that she destroyed his friend on her, and as a viewer you're like, what a dick, but at the same time, when you're looking at her, you're like, oh man, she would be awful to be around. And it really, really plays into the kind of ambiguous nature of this film, which I think is really what makes this movie work, because there isn't really a character in it other than Chris Kleins that is truly innocent of doing anything malicious, but at the same time everybody has very, very well set out motivations, and you understand why they are doing the things they do. And I think it's very, very incredible, because there are a lot of characters that you need to invest in, and I think this movie just pulls it off to the nines. I absolutely adore this movie. I think it's fantastically well made, and a movie that everybody should check out, especially if you're a film fan. So those are my thoughts on Election. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, if you're a fan, if you've seen it, whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will come check this video and let me know what they think, which is something I absolutely love, because I love talking movies with people. And speaking of which, if you haven't done it yet, or you just are new to the channel, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, so you can let me know what you think, and I can let you know what I think, and vice versa, back and forth. I would absolutely adore that. Other than that, have yourself a good day.